Aloha! Aloha! Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu. We are our beloved community, boldly growing, compassion, justice, and joy. Whether you are in person or online, we are glad that you are here. I'm not sure who's with us on Zoom, but good morning, everybody. I see Barbara Robinson, Lorraine, Jill Ravenov, other people. Hi, good morning. Welcome. All right. Are there any visitors here? I see lots of new faces, but if people would like to, take a moment, stand up and tell us who you are, if anyone wants to. Oh, yeah, good.
I'm Daniel. This is Orlando. We're from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Excellent. Welcome. Good morning. And I see someone back here.
I'm Leanna. I grew up in this church. My mother is Bobby Allison. She was the RE director. And Julian was my godfather. Julian showed here. And this is very much a church home of mine, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Heather McKay. I raised my children in the Unitarian Church in Tulsa, and now I'm bringing my niece who lives locally here to say hello to everybody. So it's my first coming, and hopefully she's going to stay through.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Angelica, and I recently moved from Connecticut to join my husband. So I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Welcome. Oh, one more.
I'm Molly Sperry. I'm actually part of the InterFaith community. I'm a Bahai, and I'm really interested in your program this morning. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. Welcome.
I just wanted to note that Angelica is the wife of John Paul, who's back there, and he has come to Hawaii to lead HCAN, Hawaii Children's Action Network, which is so important to bring services to families and children throughout our state, and especially important right now in the legislative season. So please be very nice to John Paul.
Hey, extra special welcome. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. It looks just beautiful to look at it. All right. So let's see. What else do I have to say? My name is Crystal Neva. My pronouns are she, her, or they. And I have the honor of being your worship associate today and co-facilitating this wonderful program with our minister, Reverend Deborah, whom I'm very, very grateful for. So I'm looking forward to your message today, and we extend aloha to everyone who is choosing our congregation to worship in today. I do have a chalice lighting for us this morning. It's called We Come Together Without Creed by Maureen Kelleran. In this free church, we come together without creed, focusing instead on the core values of justice, equity, and compassion, of mutual acceptance of our diverse ways of being as we seek to connect ourselves more fully with the unfolding truths of our life and of our world. We come together in shared conviction that all people deserve a voice in matters that concern them, and that it is up to each of us to protect the rights of all, particularly those who, for whatever reason, have long been held in silence. We come together in the stubborn belief that community is possible and that peace is more than just a dream. We commit together to affirm in our actions as well as in our words the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We come together in awareness of our interdependence with all humanity and with the wider web of existence, for that too is part of what is meant by we. In this free church, we come together without creed, believing that the way we live in the world bears testament to the value of our beliefs. We light this chalice as a beacon of hope for who have gathered here this day, for all who have ever walked through our doors, for all those who may yet find this spiritual home, and for those whose paths will never come our way. For all this and for all those things, we dare to hope and dream. We kindle our chalice today. And now, if you will please join in singing our opening hymn, When Your Heart is in a Holy Place. Children and educators are invited to go upstairs now if they'd like to.
We've had a couple of technical difficulties this morning, and I don't want you to think it's just women, because neither Crystal or I could get that chalice to light, but Martina did it. So, aloha. Aloha. My second problem was I'm using this stand for the first time today, and the script disappeared. I have it back now. So, this interfaith service is really important to me right now. I hope it's important to you. As we look for what are the solutions to the divisiveness we see around, joining together with other faiths is one of the strongest things that I think we can do. But last week was really windy on the windward side, and it was raining and windy, and I was really busy with church and my education work, and the legislature's in. So I almost called Cynthia and said I can't go to the InterFaith retreat on the Big Island. But I did go, and frankly, I was knocked out. This surpassed my expectations. For one thing, I had this service coming up about intersecting faiths. So I figured I would learn from the assembled leaders from diverse faiths. But I didn't know that 2 leaders were coming from the National Office of Interfaith Alliance, and I didn't know the executive director of ACLU would be with us, and I hadn't met all these wonderful people before. It was a wonderful place to consider with Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, and secular humanists how to deal, how to understand what is happening and what can we do from each of our faiths. How do we of faith protect and preserve the safety and freedom of our brethren? How can we act out of love while combating actions that we know to be harmful, destructive, and inhumane? Could I have the interfaith slide, Ian? So, how many of you have heard of the Interfaith Alliance of Hawaii before? Good, good, good. We do have our member Marie is an officer, and Cynthia is the president, and her husband Tom is on the board, and they have carried this forward here in Hawaii. Nationally, Interfaith Alliance is a network of people from diverse faiths and beliefs from across the country working together to build a resilient democracy and fulfill America's promise of religious freedom and civil rights for all, not just some. How does that sound? This organization is an independent American nonprofit focused on religious freedom, pluralism, and countering Christian nationalism and religious extremism in U.S. public life. It holds consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council, which allows it to participate in UN meetings, submit statements, and engage in advocacy. So how is religion faring in this world, and why is it important for us to ally ourselves across faiths now? We're going to look at faiths, where they come from, and what is happening with faiths today. And I just want to note, especially for Janice right now, I don't always do the long part in the sermon or the message later. I often do the long part here. So I just don't want you worried that you're going to be here all morning. This is going to be the long part. Ian, slide please. So we're going to do a little survey. 1500 BCE, Hinduism was begun, and it is now 1.2 billion people. 1000 BCE, Judaism came about, and it is now 15 million. Confucianism and Taoism I have grayed out. We're not going to really touch on them too much today because they are shrinking. Important, shrinking, we can't do everything. Buddhism, 500 BCE, 500 million people. Christianity is the biggest faith, the largest faith internationally, globally, with 2.3 billion. But Islam, which started in the 7th century, is growing fast. Some say 2 billion, some estimate in the next year or so 2.9 billion. Sikhism is now at 24 million, and Unitarianism started in 1568. We all heard a couple weeks ago about the Edict of Torda and how this began in Transylvania. 1.3 million people around the world say they sympathize with Unitarian beliefs, but only 150,000 are actually church members. So this is a job for us. The Bahai faith started in 1863, and I'm including them even though they have a small 8 million compared to some of the ones we're not talking about. I'm leaving them here because many of us are very close to the Bahai community here, and the Bahai community is very strong in supporting the Interfaith Alliance. Could I have this next slide, please, Ian? So now we come colorful. You can see I've superimposed the faiths. We've got Christianity, the big one, 2.3 billion, and we've got Buddhism overlaid there with 500 million, Islam coming up with 2.0 billion to 2.9 billion, Hinduism 1.2 billion, Judaism 15 million, Bahai 8 million, Sikhism 24 million, and Unitarian Universalism with 1.3 million. But where they cross over, I have a little gold triangle. Could you do the next slide, please? That little gold triangle is the golden rule. What is the thing that all the faiths believe in that is in all of the scriptures? The golden rule. Next slide, please. Houston, we have a problem. If you now see that central area, I overlaid a light red globe for the U.S. Christian nationalist, for U.S. Christianity as a whole, 220 million, and over that a darker red one, which is the U.S. Christian nationalist, 78 million. 30% of Americans currently answer surveys that they are either sympathetic with or adherents of Christian nationalism. Next slide, please. So this is just a closer view of that golden rule in the center of these faiths where they all come together. Next slide, please. So what are Christian nationalists? A Christian nationalist is someone who believes that government and national identity should be explicitly and preferentially Christian, and that the state should actively privilege their particular version of Christianity in law, culture, and public life. It merges Christian identity with American national identity, treating truly American and truly Christian as overlapping or identical. It asserts that U.S. laws, institutions, and symbols should be explicitly based on Christian or biblical principles, but they leave out that golden rule principle. They believe that Christians should receive cultural and legal precedence. A very big and widely respected study was conducted recently by the Public Religion Research Institute, and it uses 5 simple questions, and they asked Americans these questions, and I'm going to read them to you just so you have an idea of what does it really mean to decide you're a Christian nationalist or you're not. If you answer yes to all of these, you'd be considered an adherent. If you answer yes to some or most, you'd be considered sympathizing. 1, the U.S. government should declare America a Christian nation. 2, U.S. laws should be based on Christian values. 3, if the U.S. moves away from our Christian foundations, we will not have a country anymore. 4, being Christian is an important part of truly being American. 5, God has called Christians to exercise dominion over all areas of American society. Next slide, please. So this just shows you how many people in the United States are Christian nationalists, and in all those other nations, those are the nations that have the next largest number of Christian nationalists. So it's descending. But of course, in many of those countries, the majority faith is another religion, and within those religions, they have nationalistic groups that also believe in authoritarian dominion. The integration of Christian nationalists with the MAGA movement has enabled authoritarian acts beyond our norms. How can our faith help us to prevail to restore human and civil rights for all people as they need and deserve? Can we leverage the respect for the larger population that faith communities engender? Many people in the general population think of faith communities as trustworthy. Can we use that to help lead towards a more democratic, humanistic way of life? Can we ally ourselves with other faiths to wrest the growing chokehold extremist MAGA and Christian nationalists have on our government, posing danger to us all? We're going to draw closer to other faiths to get a feel for this chronologically. I'm going to begin with Hinduism. And we're going to have a little bit of talk from me about stories from each faith, and we're going to have some wonderful music from this group led by Beth Byers and Noe on the piano. And we're really going to bathe in the music of each one so we get a feel for them. And I just want to note that we are full of regret that our choir director, Thomas Delane, has had to resign due to health reasons. His wife, Abby, is with us here today. Abby, we are so grateful for you and for Thomas and hoping for his health in every way. And we know that our choir has benefited greatly, and so we have benefited greatly from all that he's done to develop music here in the church. So please send our love and appreciation to Thomas. So I'll say a few words about Hinduism, and then Beth will take it away with the music. Many years ago, 50 to be exact, I read the Bhagavad Gita. How many of you have read the Bhagavad Gita? Good work, my goodness. Well, I don't know if you were like I was, surprised at first to see this was about a military thing. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is a religion and it's all about a battle. But it was a metaphor, and it's a dialogue between Arjuna, the warrior, and the god Krishna on the eve of a great battle. And within the story, the war is presented as a tragic end of failed peace efforts and a last resort to restore justice after persistent injustice and refusal of compromise. Arjuna's duty is to protect justice and vulnerable, even through battle. And he has a great difficulty doing this because he must face off against his family and teachers, but he must do what is right. We now will enjoy some music to celebrate this. Beth, take it away.
We'll be singing songs from each of the religions that Deborah will be speaking about, and the words will often be on the screen, and if you know the song, you're welcome to join us. Some of them are a bit tricky. You can also just listen and take it in.
Naturally, next up is Judaism. In the story of Hillel and the stranger, a non-Jewish man approaches the strict sage Shammai and says, "Convert me on condition that you teach me the entire Torah while I stand on one foot." Shammai, offended by what seems like a flippant request, drives him away. The man then goes to the gentle sage Hillel. Instead of rejecting him, Hillel welcomes him and agrees to teach him. Hillel says, "What is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. That is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn." Hillel's teaching turns the core of Torah into an ethic of radical empathy. If someone would hurt, belittle, or exclude you, do not do that to another person. This is a practical form of loving your neighbor as yourself, from Leviticus 19:18, which rabbis call the great principle of the Torah. The music.
Could you just give me the first 4 notes? Heaven you shine, Alechem. Heaven you shine, Alechem. Heaven you shine, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, shalom, shalom Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, shalom, shalom Alechem. Heaven shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, shalom, shalom Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, Alechem. Heaven you shalom, shalom, shalom Alechem.
Now come the Buddhists. One day, as Buddha was teaching, a very angry man pushed through the crowd and began insulting him, calling him names and accusing him of misleading people. The Buddha listened quietly, neither interrupting nor reacting, and simply stood there with a peaceful expression as the man poured out his rage. When the man finally paused for breath, the Buddha gently asked him a question. If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does that gift belong? The man answered, the one who gave it. And the Buddha says, yes, in the same way, you offer me anger and insults, but I do not accept them. They remain with you. In this story, the Buddha refuses to return hostility with hostility. He treats the man with the same calm and dignity he would wish for himself. By not taking on the anger, he protects both himself and ultimately the other man, who begins to see how he is only hurting himself with his hatred. We are up to the Christians. I'm going to give a little bit of a story that everyone here knows, the Good Samaritan. After this little intro, Sorka was going to lead the next hymn, and she chose it, but she's sick. So late last night, Beth and I found out Sorka is sick, and we have had so many people down, so we hope she feels better promptly. So we now have around 2.3, 2.4 billion adherents. You see our version of the Golden Rule above. When we remember the story of the Good Samaritan from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, the travelers beaten and robbed and left half dead on the road from Jerusalem to Jericho, and a priest and a Levite passing by offer no help. Then a member of the despised outsider group from Samaria, a Samaritan, is moved with compassion when he sees the man. He bandages and cares for the man, carries him to an inn, pays for his stay. The Samaritan acts in the spirit of Jesus' teaching, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, Luke 6:31, and love your neighbor as yourself. The Samaritan models grace-filled hospitality in several ways. He interrupts his own journey, he risks his safety on a dangerous road, he entrusts the stranger to an innkeeper with an open-ended promise to pay what is needed. His generosity is not minimal or transactional, it is abundant and trusting. In Matthew 25:35, Jesus later describes those who welcome Jesus by saying, I was a stranger and you welcomed me, connecting care for the vulnerable strangers with the encounter with the divine. This is a tale of the Golden Rule. Here comes Islam, growing, growing, growing. I companion of the prophet Abu Talha and his wife, who received a hungry traveler as a guest, themselves had a small amount of food, just enough for their children. Abu Talha told his wife, "We must be generous with this guest. Put the children to bed hungry, and bring out all the food and dim the lamp, so the guest would think they were eating with him, while in fact they only moved their mouths in the dark but did not eat." The guest ate his full, believing he was sharing the meal equally. The next day, the Prophet Muhammad told them that God had revealed a verse praising their generosity and concern for the stranger's dignity, honoring them for preferring the guest to themselves. Music.
Alhamdulillah means Alleluia, and we'll be singing this in a round, and it's very easy to catch on. So we'll sing it through three times in unison, and then we'll sing it three times in a round. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
The last group we're going to talk about today is Bahai. And you can see the Bahai version of the Golden Rule. One stormy evening, a Bahai family heard a knock at the door and found a soaked, anxious stranger asking quietly, "Is there any place I can rest until morning?" They hesitated. They didn't know him. They worried for safety. Then the mother remembered the teaching, if thine eyes be turned towards justice, choose thou thy neighbor that which thou choosest for thyself. She asked herself, if I were alone in the rain, what would I hope someone would do? And so she invited him in, offered dry clothes and a simple meal. As they spoke, the father explained that their faith teaches us not to ascribe to any soul what we would not have ascribed to us, and to prefer our brother before ourselves. In the morning, they gave him bus fare and food for the road. The man said, "When I see someone standing in the rain, I will remember how you treated me, and I will treat them as I wish to be treated tonight." And now we'll hear Radiant Heart by Beth. And this one's very special, our last song of faith. This is written by Baha'u'llah, the prophet of Bahai himself. The lyric you will hear now.
The music is by a young South African man named Dominic Sylvester.
just before we do the Book of Life, I'd just like us all to appreciate what Beth has done pulling this music together today, and Noe and the choir.
That was fun. Great music, great messages. This church, our church, is a place to experience the depth of life together. And this Book of Life stands for the life that we share within our beloved community. And some of us share our joys and concerns in this book, and others just see this book and know that it is a symbol that stands for the fact that they can share their joys and concerns freely here with each other, maybe in the gallery after service while drinking coffee, or in workshops with wise leaders from here and afar, with our minister, Reverend Deborah Bond Upson, or with members of our care team. And now you can also share your joys and concern online on our website, and you can read the joys and concerns shared by others in this community also on that site. So this just stands for all of the ways that we share with each other the important things that we're feeling and thinking about. So today I looked at the website and I didn't see any new joys and concerns for this period. Everything was already there last Sunday. And I have a blank page in here today, but I know that there are joys and concerns in this room. I know that we share some concerns about what's happening in our country and what's going on. We're sharing some joy in hearing from different religions, and hopefully that is sparking a sense of hope. I know it is for me, a sense of connection, deep connection with other people in our world. So right now, we'll just take a moment and feel our own concerns. And take another breath to feel the joys that are shared in this room. The bitterness and sweetness, the concerns and joys of life remind us to live these days together. The brave and adventure and the holy understanding that we share in this journey echo today, as they always do, in the Book of Life and in our hearts that we bring to share here today. And may it always be so. We are very fortunate in this congregation that we are able to look at suffering in our world, and we have a way to give, to provide some relief. It's a privilege to give our whole offering today and every Sunday to people and causes who benefit from our loving concern. This month we are supporting RISE, which is the Residential Youth Services and Empowerment. RISE offers temporary housing and referral services to Hawaii's street youth ages 14 to 24. RISE has a drop-in center offering hot showers, laundry, meals. They have an emergency shelter with 20 beds, and they also offer housing vouchers and coordinated housing with over 30 landlords across Oahu. So their mission is to provide a continuum of support that empowers Hawaii's street youth to move beyond homelessness, envisioning a community where there is no youth homelessness. So we support this mission, and I hope that you do. When the calabash comes by, feel free to give. There's probably a QR code maybe on our order of service, and there's also share the plate that you can text, and that should all be on the order of service. So let us Give freely and receive with gratitude. Your gifts help sustain the ministry of this church within these walls and without. Mahalo nui loa.
It's always wonderful when it comes up, but not quite as wonderful when it doesn't come up. But in those cases, we always have a written backup. So I'd like to talk about a real character alive today who I think gives us a little window into this intersecting faiths. And I'm going to describe him, and I'd like you to raise your hand when you know who I'm talking about, and I'll tell you the name in just a moment. He was born in Uganda, where the population is over 80% Christian, but he was born to a Muslim father and a Hindu mother. He moved at 5 to New York City and was schooled at Bank Street School until 8th grade, and that is a UU stronghold. He went on to Bronx High School of Science, which was at that time majority Jewish, and then he went on to college at Bowdoin in Maine, became an organizer, a foreclosure prevention and housing counselor, helping low-income and immigrant homeowners in Queens, at night performing as a musician and a rapper. He was elected as an assemblyman for several terms. Any more hands up yet? He listened to the worries and dreams of his constituents, and then he proposed some thought outrageous programs to meet those dreams and worries. And he was elected mayor of New York City. Yes, I'm talking about Zohran Mamdani. Who better to understand and represent the answering the stress of this dangerous authoritarian time and actions with the power of diverse faiths than Zohran Mamdani. On February 6th, just a week and a half ago, he hosted an InterFaith prayer breakfast in New York City. And he framed a moral call to welcome immigrants and the stranger in New York City. Pointing to the Hindu Bhagavad Gita, he said, "Who sees the true equality of all living things and beings and responds to the joys and sorrows of others as their own." Mandami addressed 400 clergy, and he said, I quote, "For all our different faiths, we share a common belief that our city can be restored, and it must. That the wealthiest city in the world, in the wealthiest country in the world, in history of the world, has enough for every person to live a life of dignity. We need not worship the same God to share the same values or fight for the same future. If anything unifies religion across our country, it's an understanding of faith not solely as a tool for reflection, but as a call to action. Standing before you today, I think of Deuteronomy 10:17, which describes the Lord as one who shows no partiality and accepts no bribes or favors. He defends the cause of orphans and widows, loves the stranger residing among you, giving them food and clothing. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that the highest calling is to become someone who sees the true equality of all living beings and responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they are their own. Now, if it had the same page numbers, we'd really be in business here. Each of us has been a stranger at some point in our lives. Each of us has known the feeling of arriving somewhere new alone, of depending on the kindness of someone else. As ICE fosters a culture of suspicion and fear, let our city and let our country set an example of how to make the sorrows of others our own. Let us offer a new path, one of defiance through compassion. So this was not a political speech, although I'm actually allowed by IRS to speak from the pulpit in this way. I'm speaking just about the intersection of faiths and the golden rule and how we can work with each other to support this today. May we take right action regardless of personal interest or outcome, as the Hindu Bhagavad Gita says. May we heed the words of Judaism: what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow, and realize that the entire Torah is around this. The rest is commentary. May we do to others as we would have them do to us, love our neighbor as ourselves, and welcome the stranger as Jesus preached. May we stand fast in compassion for all, as the Buddhists embody. May we be radically generous with the other, as Muhammad guides us in Islam. May we possess a pure, kindly, and radiant heart, that thine be a sovereignty ancient, imperishable, and everlasting, as Baha'u'llah of Bahai faith urges. And may we fiercely and calmly uphold our Unitarian Universalist principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, compassion, and human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, and work to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions to dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. May it be so.
Do people rise? Yeah, please rise as you are able, and we will be singing the oneness of everything. For all the great music, Beth. It's time for announcements. We just have a few. One is there is a new member orientation happening today after the service. It's going to be in the study, so grab a coffee and a snack and head in there. We're excited to welcome you.
We have food for you.
Oh, there's food for you in the study. You don't even have to manage your way through all that. Also, we have a message from the new and improved, the new Hope for Us team. They're calling themselves More Hope for Us. This next phase of work is for a circle of 20 to 25 people to work together to engage in a loving and honest look at the history of this congregation and how that history has had impact on our culture and on our present. And it will be facilitated in a sacred space. Participants are being asked to come with the intent to support the whole, holding the larger goal of soulful integration of the congregation's lived experience and story as a nearly 75-year unfolding being. So please see the newsletter for details, and let members of the team know if you're interested in being a part of that, and consider responding if you are reached out to. Okay. And then third, the last thing is to let you know that next week's service, you're invited to come back. Next week, the theme is Love in the Time of AI with Pastor Keola Whitaker. In a world where nearly 1/3 of Americans now have romantic relationships with AI, we face an urgent question. What is love? This sermon explores why love requires bodies that can be wounded, why the fear of loss is inseparable from love itself, and what it means to choose transformation over comfort. So, it should be fun. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. I think we're ready for you.
Next slide, Ian. Hans Deutsch designed the chalice to signify the safety, respect, and love that we offer even in the darkest times. The light of our chalice lives always in our hearts, reminding us to discern the dangers, to protect our neighbors, to give and receive love nonstop. And now we will join in a circle to Dona and sing Dona Nobis.